the first phase between 95 and 2002 or so was very much about portals, companies like AOL and Yahoo and MSN, building massive brands, massive aggregation of eyeballs, and then extorting small companies with massive fees for advertising and placement to get access to the audience. The second phase, which was ultimately driven by Google through the last decade, was about search, which was hugely favorable for startups and venture because it essentially opened up the hold that the portals had on the eyeballs and allowed much smaller companies to access customers, which fueled the growth of vertical media, e-commerce, etc. And I think the era that we're in now is very much about social and discovering stuff through your graph, and that is very real, as we know, and has driven our investment, a large part of our investment strategy with companies like Groupon that had a lot of its early success through Facebook and the sharing and advertising on Facebook, Playfish, Spotify, Branch Out, etc. So this is very real. I think for any of you operating in the space, you see it. It's also amazing just the pace of growth of social services. Even Google Plus, which people have different views on, achieved 20 million users in less than a month. And we see social as having a major impact on many industries. We discussed e-commerce. We see just the growth in advertising on social networks. The fact that Facebook accounts for as much or more YouTube traffic as Google itself. The whole new development of the social gaming industry that developed on Facebook, pioneered by Zynga and Playfish and others, and companies in Turkey like Peak Games doing amazing things in that category too. We've also been at Accel super focused on mobile. I think this is a trend that you can't ignore. Just a couple years ago, there were barely 200, 300 million smartphones, and in 2 years' time, we expect somewhere between 1.5 and 2 billion smartphones, of which probably half will be Android, which is really a relatively new phenomenon. So anyone focused on mobile, has to be very focused on Android, which was not the case even 12 months ago. And of course, there's lots of other things that we focused on: cloud computing, deep vertical search, online financial services, which has been a very important area for us. Underlying thesis that lots of opportunity exists around disrupting banks, that where services for consumers may not be as simple or transparent or as cheap as they ought to be, and companies like our portfolio, Wonga, Os4X, Braintree, Yapstone, are building very successful, valuable, fast-growing businesses taking advantage of this.